Must watch. Focus in your goals. I don't mean to seem pessimistic, but I don't think you can blame bad luck, a rough childhood, or anything else outside of yourself if you reach a certain age and haven't accomplished much on your own terms. Personally, I believe that is when your moral fortitude is put to the test. And let me be clear that your idea of success could not be the same as the next person's. I'm not saying you have to drive a Rolls Royce or have a huge bank account to be successful, but if those things are essential to your idea of success, then that's what you should be going towards. Hello there, this is the Financial Fortune, and in this video, we are going to talk about how to focus on your goals. Before we start, don't forget to leave a like, click subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell to be notified whenever we release new videos. Alright, let's get started. When I talk about building character, I say that it can be challenging to concentrate on character when there are 100 of other things to think about in addition to credit card bills. These people would be able to handle their credit card bills a little better now if they had given character development a little more care throughout the years. It's never too late though. Additionally, you don't need a library or a lot of books to develop a personal philosophy that will aid you in reaching your objectives. That is possible anywhere. It's possible right now. In fact, adopting the ants mindset would be beneficial for all of us. Ants are special and important for at least two reasons. One reason is that ant always has a destination in mind and will keep looking for a solution to get there despite any hurdles. The first thing an ant does when faced with a pebble is to walk around the pebble. It tries to go in one direction. It tries to turn in the other direction if it can get past. It then tries to climb over the pebble if it is still unable to move around. If that still doesn't work, even though the pebble may be hundreds of times bigger than the ant itself, it will attempt to lift it for some reason. It will also search for help from other ants if it is unable to lift the pebble on its own. The ants will eventually begin burrowing a tunnel underneath the pebble if they are unable to lift it with their combined strength. And even if it doesn't succeed, they will actually begin gnawing at the stone. How long will they continue to try? Till they pass away, they'll keep trying. Because quitting is the one thing they will never do. That is the ant's mindset of success, and we should all adopt it as a guiding principle for how we see the world. Ants are also essential due to what they do during the summer. The ants prepare for the winter in the summer. No credit cards exist for them. They don't use the present to acquire liabilities and debts that they will have to pay in the future. They make assets for themselves in the here and now. Do you recall the proverbial story involving the ant and the grasshopper? The ant was mocked by the grasshopper for working so hard the entire summer. The grasshopper was content to simply enjoy himself while resting around in the tall grass. He died of starvation over the winter, while the ant had plenty to eat. Remember that at some point in our lives, we have all been grasshoppers. Just be sure you're not one at the moment. The key to turning ideas into accomplishments is character. It's rather abstract in the sense that you can lay your hands on it or point to it or weigh it on a scale. But in a very realistic way, a character is what permits you to get where you want to go. If you want to travel from your home to a store on the other side of town, you'll need a vehicle with gas in the tank and you'll need keys to start a car. Also, you must be able to drive. You'll need judgment based on life experience to inform you when to step on the brakes if the traffic light went red. You'll need a true motive to reach your destination so that you don't keep stopping for coffee or a piece of pie every 10 minutes. You'll need to know how much time to give to the trip so you can come home in time for everything else you have to do. And you'll need enough maturity to phone and explain you're going to be late if you get stuck in traffic congestion. You can lay your hand on any of those things and you can measure them with a yardstick. However, they are just as essential for getting where you're going as a car, gas, or set of keys. They are analogs of character. There are many different methods to monitor a vehicle's condition. You can check the tires to see whether they've worn out their tread. You can check the odometer to see how long it's been since you've changed the oil. And you may turn on a switch and then walk around the car to see if the headlights and the taillights are operating properly. There are objective indicators of the state of your car. Similarly, there are techniques for objectively measuring your achievements. Most individuals don't take advantage of them as often as they should, but they're available regardless. To calculate your net worth, For instance, you may put up a financial statement. You can pay an appraiser in order to understand the market value of your house. You can compare where you were 10 years ago to where you are now in order to gauge the degree of the development you've made in your life. As I've tried to explain, success relies on the character in the same way that a successful drive to the grocery store depends on understanding when to use the brakes and when to step on the gas. But how can you tell if your character is in good enough form to bring you where you want to go? To continue the metaphor we've been using, there are ways of assessing whether you still know how to drive without getting into an accident. There are ways of judging the strengths of your character that are nearly as evident as the depth of tread on a tire or the amount of gasoline in the tank of a vehicle. In order to apply these strategies for character evaluation, all you need is a determination to be ruthlessly honest with yourself. At first, that kind of merciless honesty may include a little amount of suffering, but once you grasp the truth that character is the key to achievements, you'll gladly pay the price. Just like the gas gauge of a car indicates full and empty, with various demarcations in between, you can learn whether your character has enough fuel to drive you to your life's destination. You can learn to tell whether you're in full or empty or someplace in between. But although a car operates on only one fuel, which is shown by a single gauge, character, in my opinion, can be measured by 4 separate imaginary gauges. Here's the first one. I want you to picture the letter R, which stands for refusal, on the side of the gauge that corresponds to the letter F, or full on a gas gauge. And on the left side of that gauge, I want you to visualize the letter C, which stands for complacency. If your character is good and strong, there are certain things that you simply refuse to tolerate in yourself or in other people. You only put up your best effort in your job and won't settle for anything less. That doesn't always imply that everything will turn out the way you had hoped and intended. However, that is not the issue. Although there will always be factors outside of your control, you should always put out your best effort. Whatever the case, your dedication to your family should be just as strong. Simply put, you should never give in when it comes to the demands and well-being of your family. You should also refuse to put up with any type of petty, dishonest, or unethical behavior in your personal life. That is the first character assessment gauge's right-hand side. The letter C, which stands for complacency, is located on the left hand. However, the initials LIS, which stands for let it slide, or even WTDA, which stands for what's the difference anyway, might also be used. Where do you stand on that scale? Do you possess a sufficient amount of excellent, strong refusal to help you accomplish your goals? If not, this is the perfect moment to stop for gas. The second imaginary gauge is the letter D and M. The letter D is on the second character reading gauge's right side, and the letter M is on the left. The D stands for decision and the M for maybe. Do you turn left or right at a crossroads when you encounter one? Or do you stop the car, scoff and decide that perhaps you'll go this way, then again perhaps I'll go that way, but in the end, you wind up going nowhere? Consider the problems that now affect your life and you. It's possible that you want to quit your work and establish your own business. You might want to get married after all. Are you the type of person that makes a decision and follows through on it? You may also be the type to counter with, well, maybe, but then again, maybe not. The third imaginary gauge is the letter A and W. Consider a gauge that has an A on one side and W on the other. That's because the W stands for want, as in I want it now, or I want it really bad, or I want it so much I'll do whatever it takes to get it. The W also stands for the commitment required to pursue a legal career. The A represents apathy. In such a situation, you genuinely don't care what happened, and if you don't care what happened, it's for the best since it's likely to be positive. Here is the last character gauge. The letter P, which stands for promise, is on the right, and the letter F, which stands for fear, is on the left. If you have a strong character, you will promise yourself that you're going to accomplish your goals. That's it. You never consider a situation where you might not be able to achieve your promise. It makes no difference because you never give it a thought. You vow to honor your promise and you will do so. You are confident that you will succeed. The inability to keep a promise of yourself is fear. It starts when you begin to consider all the negative things that can occur to you while going to your destination, and before long, you start to wonder, wouldn't it be easier to stay home? Why not simply stay in bed instead? Is it not preferable if I pull the blankets up to my head? You once made a commitment to yourself that you would walk when you first started learning how to walk. Although you certainly fell repeatedly, if it may have been frightening at times, you didn't give it a second thought. Every time you fell, you made a promise to yourself to forget about it as soon as you were upright again. You said you were going to cross the room and you actually did. How much time did it take? You didn't care. This is the financial fortune, and thank you for watching.